All right, so I want you to pretend like you're the PR representative for Satoshi Nakamoto, and you're going to talk to the Indian government. You live in Miami. You actually Valley investors and entrepreneurs that have moved to Miami. But the mayor of Miami, Francis Suarez, has been very proactive in pulling people from Silicon Valley by being very pro-business, pro-tech, and most recently pro-Bitcoin, and trying to create a regulatory framework and an environment that's conducive to iterating, in terms of blockchain and Bitcoin. So if you were to talk to the government of India and you said, you know what, rather than banning Bitcoin, how about you embrace Bitcoin and you create, an ecosystem that's conducive to innovation within the blockchain space? Why would that be such a powerful thing for a country to go all in on Bitcoin? There's been some prominent voices in the VC community who have written about this, but I think it's an interesting topic and would love your perspective on it.
Well, I think it's a proxy for innovation in general. And if you look at countries like India, Kenya, and let me just tell a little story about Kenya and my interaction with the central bank governor of Kenya. I'm an investor in a company called BitPesa. I was one of their founding investors in 2014. They're now called AZA. They're the first company to look at using the Bitcoin blockchain as a back end for financial transactions, both at the institutional and retail level, both within the continent of Africa and then across continents. And the idea there was right now the banking system, the correspondent banking system requires many different banks to get involved, which add fees and layers of fees where a transaction from Kenya to the Ivory Coast can cost up to 20% of the transaction, which even for institutions is something that they don't want to do. And so being able to just reduce that to one transaction in and out of a Bitcoin or any other crypto, and provide that liquidity and do it in an instantaneous way with lower fees. They've seen tremendous growth over especially the last year. So if you take, so I once asked the central bank governor there, why are you so threatened by BitPesa? Because they tried to shut it down initially. Now they're working with the company, as are many other countries within Africa. But he had a point where, he said, we're just being accepted into the global monetary system and we can't afford any missteps. We're being watched by everybody. And it provided perspective for, all of these emerging markets. They need to make sure that their monetary policy is sound. But I think this is an opportunity for especially India to take a lead. And also, along those lines, not only take a lead, but leapfrog. And I've been,
You've been banging that drum?
I'm sorry?
You've been banging that drum?
Yes. So I've been a big India bull for, I started investing in India in 1999 when I was at Intel, one of my companies there IPO'd. India's certainly been through many challenges. It can be very bureaucratic. Some of the policies just don't make sense. But I think, given what we're seeing right now with China and COVID and some of the supply chain disruptions we saw by reliance on just one country and one region, India's really had an opportunity and stepped up to that opportunity on the supply chain side, and a lot more businesses, including like Apple, is now doing more manufacturing there. And I think we can move that to then looking at money and then looking at fintech and taking a leadership role. And India has an opportunity to do that. Now, that doesn't mean they don't issue their digital rupee, but they could be a model of how the rupee can interact with a currency that is kind of independent of any other controls or reliance on the dollar. And I'm a U.S. citizen. I'm an immigrant. I'm a big fan of the U.S. It's been great to me, but I also think that dependence on any one country and we've seen this, is not a good thing. And that's why we're investing in decentralization. The whole concept of Bitcoin and blockchain tech is no single point of failure. And so India has an opportunity to not only further, their own goals of being a major player, and I believe they already are, but maybe the foremost player on the world stage by really looking at the intersection of a digital currency as well as decentralized currency. And there's an incredible amount of talent there. It's a very entrepreneurial country. And so I think it has all the makings, and ability to do this. Another point is that they were the first country to have a digital identity system. When I was at Omidyar, I worked on this project with the Indian government, and a lot of people thought there's no way that you're going to be able to get people in rural areas, farmers, people who weren't literate, to actually, buy into this system of this digital identity. But once the government, or once these people saw that they were able to get their government, subsidies, payments through this digital system, they all signed up, and it actually ended up being very efficient. Almost the whole country is now on this digital identity system. And so that's another infrastructure layer that can underpin, a blended monetary system.